Unit 3, page 24. Cliffhanger.
I knew I'd hate it. I kept telling and telling Dad, but he wouldn't listen to me. He never does. I like the sound of this adventure holiday for children, said Dad, pointing to the advert in the paper. Abseiling, canoeing, archery, mountain biking. Sounds a bit dangerous to me, said Mum. I didn't say anything. I went on watching TV. How about it, Tim? Said Dad. What about an adventure holiday, eh? You can't be serious. Tim's much too young, said Mum. I still didn't say anything. I went on watching TV. But my heart had started thumping under my t-shirt. He's 9 for goodness sake, said Dad. But he's young for his age, said Mum. I still didn't say anything. I went on watching TV. I stared hard at the screen, wishing there was some way I could step inside. Tim, said Dad. I didn't look round quickly enough. Dad shouted. I jumped. Don't shout at him like that, said Mum. I'm not shouting, Dad shouted. He took a deep breath. He turned his lips up into a big smile. Now, Tim, you'd like to go on an adventure holiday, wouldn't you? He'd hate it, said Mum. Let him answer for himself, said Dad. He had hold of me by the shoulders. I don't really like adventures much, Dad, I said. Dad went on smiling, but I think he wanted to give my shoulders a shake. Well, what do you like, Tim? Asked Dad. Watching TV, I said. Dad snorted. And drawing and reading and doing puzzles, said Mum. And he comes top in all his lessons at school, apart from games. You know he's hopeless at sport. Only because he doesn't give it a try, said Dad. I was captain of football and cricket when I was a boy. Dad had tried to teach me football. Dad had tried to teach me cricket. He had tried, and I had tried, but it hadn't worked. Tim can't help being bad at games, said Mum, pulling me away from Dad. She gave me a cuddle. I think an adventure holiday would do him the world of good, said Dad. He wouldn't listen to Mum. He wouldn't listen to me. He booked the adventure holiday. You'll love it when you get there, said Dad, over and over again. He bought me new jeans and t-shirts, and trainers, and a stiff soldier's jacket to make me look tough. Mum bought me a special safety helmet to wear all the time to keep me safe. I didn't feel tough. I didn't feel safe. I needed to hug Walter Bear very hard when Dad drove us to the adventure centre. Dad said I shouldn't take a teddy bear with me because the other kids might laugh at me. Mum said I couldn't get to sleep without Walter Bear. I didn't say anything. I hugged Walter even harder, sniffing in his sweet dusty smell. Look, Tim, I think that's it, Dad said excitedly. I didn't look. I shut my eyes tight. I hoped, if I wished hard enough, I'd somehow whiz through space and end up safe at home.
Unit 3, spelling, page 29.
Some adjectives end in ENT. Tim's dad had different ideas.
Unit 3, reading for enrichment, page 31.
A real-life adventure. The highest mountain in the world is Mount Everest. It is 8,875 metres above the sea. The first 2 men to reach the top of Mount Everest were Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay. This is how they did it. In 1953, a man called John Hunt took 200 men to the bottom of Mount Everest. He set up a base camp where some of the men stayed. The others climbed up the mountain for about 304.9 metres and set up another camp. Some men stayed behind, and the others moved further up the mountain and set up a third camp. John Hunt did this until he had 8 camps and he had reached 7,866.42 metres. Edmund Hillary, Tenzing Norgay, and a few other climbers went on to 8,506.71 metres. They set up Camp 9. From here, the 2 men started the last climb of 335.39 metres. On May the 29th, 1953, Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay had a breakfast of canned fish and lemon water. They left their tent at 6:30 a.m. to begin the climb. There was a strong wind and the weather was very cold. It was 80 degrees below freezing. At this height, there was not enough oxygen in the air to breathe easily, so they had to take oxygen with them in heavy tanks. They first had to cross a level area. They then reached a 152.45 metres snow slope. It took them until 9 o'clock to climb up the snow slope. After that, there was a sharp ridge of ice that seemed to go straight up into the sky. They used their axes and cut steps into the ice. At the top of the ridge, they found a huge wall of rock. There seemed to be no way of climbing it, but Hillary saw a crack in the rock. They got into the crack and pushed themselves up using their hands and feet. After the wall, they came to what looked like lots of ice waves. They were very high, and the 2 men had to cut steps in the ice to get over them. This took them 2 hours. When they climbed the last ridge, they were on a small flat space. They looked around. There was nothing above them. This was the top of Mount Everest. They had made it. Hillary and Norgay were standing on the top of the world.